I assume I need no introduction.
I mean, are you really surprised? First we've got Tweedledee. Then Tweedledum.
Better watch where you go, bitch.
And now we got Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, the third installment in the Twisted Childhood universe, the horror version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In case y'all were not sure, the Mickey Mouse horror movies that have come out and will come out are not part of this horror universe. Actually, scratch that last clip. I really don't know what I want or what anyone else expects from this now franchise. The ones to come out will be Bambi and Pinocchio, and then Avengers Endgame. I mean, Pooniverse, Monsters Assemble. Wait, Pooniverse?
Giggity.
What is this? Anyways, I'm grabbing a chunk of this info off of Wiki. So, how was it, you might ask? Are these movies getting any better? Are they worth your time and money? Do you have terrible taste in movies? Do you hate yourself? Well, I may be able to answer all of those questions in just a few. But first, let's get spooky with about as many spoilers as I can carry. And I can carry a lot with these kinds of arms. Roll intro. So the movie picks up at a circus. Our titular villain, Peter Pan, is doing a balloon act for a kid. Later that night, that same little chap is sleeping on the couch in his living room, and a trapdoor comes out of nowhere, and we get a little, "Hiya, Georgie" moment.
Yes, meet Georgie. Georgie, meet Pennywise.
Okay, I already have plenty to say. First of all, kind of an odd place to have a trapdoor cellar, but hey, we are in England, so maybe that's just something the Brits have.
Tomorrow.
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 Tomorrow. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. Not tomorrow.
And this scene directly steals from It. Now, the director may claim that it's more of an homage than a scene grab, but you know, paying homage to a movie that came out only a few years ago is a bit odd. Also, strap into your Iron Maidens, because we have only just begun, and this is definitely not the only homage. So Peter convinces the kid to get a little closer, and as he is pulling the boy into the cellar, his single mom comes into the room with that mom strength and pulls that kid out of Peter's grasp. Okay, kind of embarrassing that our main villain lost a tug of war with a mom that looks like she weighs, 80 pounds soaking wet, but let's move on. The mom and son try to get out of there, but can't. They separate and the mom and Peter start throwing each other across the room, and I gotta say, Peter is getting his ass handed to him. What a little bitch. This is our main big bad? Dude got rocked in literally the first fight we see in the movie. Okay, she slices up his face pretty gnarly, but Peter still wins, eventually, and Peter then takes the kid. Then we get the title card, and then jump ahead 15 years.
What? Oh, come on!
Oh, I can't wait to hear the good reason why we did a time jump. You know what? No. I'm just gonna say this right now. There is no good reason why this movie did a time jump. Literally none. This reminds me of Terrifier 3. They did a time jump there and then just set the movie during Christmas time just because. You would think with all the sequential movies that the writing would get better. Yeah, this may be better than Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, but only by 5%. So by the end of the entire franchise, we'll finally get a well-written story. After 8 fucking movies, if we, or better they, are lucky. Anyways, back to the movie. So we get introduced to a small family, a divorced mom, older brother John, who we don't give a fuck about, older sister Wendy, and younger brother Michael. It's Michael's birthday, but Wendy forgot till the last second and she wants to make it up to him. After school, she is gonna pick him up and they're gonna go get some ice cream. He is still pretty bummed because she is still planning on moving to London because some hot piece of ass douchebag is going. Meanwhile, Peter is shooting up a little old needle of pixie dust. Why is it called pixie dust, you might ask? I'll tell y'all later. So he goes to a costume store before the store opens and gets a generic smiling mask, and as the store clerk tries to stop him, Peter knifes the guy like 15 times in the neck, wipes the blood onto his clothes, and then walks out into broad daylight for all of England to see. Okay, sure. At school, we get to know Michael a little bit more. It seems to be that he has a best friend, but it may also be more than a friend. Kinda young gay romance. I bring this up because they are holding hands mid-lunch. I mean, maybe that's not gay?
No, I think that's okay. We do that. We're actually holding hands right now.
Oh, yeah.
Seems a little young to throw that in there, but let's just move on. We see the school day has ended and Wendy is waiting for her little bro in the parking lot. She gets surprised by her boyfriend there and tells her that he decided not to go to London and kinda gaslights her into it being her fault, you know, making him feel pressured into going when he never really wanted to go. Is that why I'm still single? Is it cause I'm not emotionally manipulating chicks into thinking that they are the problem? I always thought it was cause I'm a literal monster. See?
You like it?
So we jump to Michael riding his new bike home and going through the woods. We clearly see a trip line connected to the Neverland. That's the van that Peter uses to take the kids. Hey, do you want to know what this reminds me of, but only done worse?
Park ranger found the bike. Oh boy.
What an homage! We jump back to Wendy at the school, and the school is completely empty. She is asking a supervisor if Michael is still there, and she says no, there's no record of him being there for detention or anything else. We then jump back to Peter bringing Michael some food. Hey, you know what this reminds me of, only not nearly as good?
What did you put in that?
Salt and pepper.
What an homage. Peter tells Michael about his shitty upbringing, and whenever his mom came in to beat him, he would close his eyes and dream of a magical place called Neverland, and reassures him that it's a real place and he's about to go there. At the family's house, everyone is freaking out. They do see that Michael was waiting inside for his sis to pick him up. At first I wondered how the hell this happened and why he left without her, but I guess this is an okay reason. They get a call and they hear circus music, and instead of being a normal person and assuming it's a prank call and immediately hanging up the phone, Wendy keeps listening, and then Peter says, "Don't worry about Michael. I'm going to take him to Neverland." Not sure how he got their house phone number, but I'll let it slide. At Peter's drug den, he plays a game of Marco Polo with Michael. I only bring up this scene because it does lead to a pretty decent jump scare, and just to prove I'm more than just a sarcastic bitch, I wanted to give the movie a little bit of credit for this scene. Wendy is asking around, and her friend, who just so happens to be the older sister of Michael's only friend, Joey, she brings up that this isn't the first time that Peter Pan has been out and about taking kids to Neverland. Wendy gets a lead, and they all go to a house of a man whose son was taken 15 years ago by Peter Pan. Same thing happened. The kid was walking home alone, no big deal, it's been done dozens of times, but then they get taken and the parents get a call with the circus music saying that their child has been taken. We also get told that their child never felt like a boy and had a very girled up bedroom and whatnot. At this point in the story, it feels kind of forced that the kid is trans, but I'll break down some more info on that later on. Sadly, the lead provides nothing really of substance to our main chick, so they just leave empty-handed. Peter is feeling a little grandiose, and he stops his van in front of a school bus. The bus driver gets out trying to be a helping helperton, and just like in Ace Ventura 2, the movie I just referenced, the help really isn't appreciated. And Peter knifes him through the chin and roof of his mouth. Classic. And then Peter gets on the bus of about 15 kids and asks, "Who wants to go to Neverland?"
Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O.
Back at Pan's den of drugs, we get introduced to Tinkerbell. And I'll admit, the first time I heard Tink talk to Michael, I immediately thought, is that Timmy, the kid that was taken so many years ago? Spoiler alert, I of course was right, but it's not like they were hiding it super well. Tink says to Michael that they are close to Neverland, but she's never been taken because she is special. She's a fairy. Michael cries for help, and we see Tink struggle, but still ends up leaving him alone in the room. Wendy arrives at home only for the older brother to speak, maybe his only line in the whole movie. He tells Wendy about the bus full of kids that were killed by Peter Pan. Wendy goes to her mom, and the mom is just in shock and has accepted that Michael isn't coming back. Wendy hasn't lost faith, even though Logically, she should, but let's not pretend that this script follows such a preposterous thing as logic. The mom tells Wendy that she should start living at her dad's. Yeesh, that's rough. We jump to Peter cleaning himself up and thinking about the kids on the bus. We see him float a bit, and then Tink comes into the room and he's on the ground. Man, it would have been so much better if it was a fact that he has some powers, because now it's possible that he is just imagining himself floating. Tink comes in and asks where did the kids really go, to which Peter snaps at Tink for questioning him. Then they share a kiss, followed up by some choking. Gotta love those manipulation tactics. We hear a bell ring and Peter busts out a belt and runs downstairs to lay the smackdown on some poor soul in the basement. You can probably guess who that's going to be, but let's hold the reveal. Peter is now outside Michael's best friend's house. Wendy is spending the night. He obviously gets in, and the tension is done pretty well here. He then kills Wendy's friend, but he does it in an incredibly loud and attention-calling way. Huh, pretty confident for a guy who got billy jacked by a single mom half his size. We see Wendy try to hide as well as she can. Peter then kills the dad. Later on, the mom comes into Wendy's room, tied to a chair, and tries to get Wendy to untie her. Kinda odd that he killed the friend in her sleep and then the dad pretty quickly, but then tied the mom to a chair. Wendy can't help her in time and Peter comes into the room to finish the job. And even though he has knifed everyone thus far, he does the mom in like lucky number 11. What an image! I don't fucking get the reason behind all of these scenes pulled from other movies. Wendy was able to hide while the mom got. She quickly grabs her phone and charger and keys to their car because she saw Peter take Michael's friend, so she's on the chase. She gets to the house of junkies and follows in quietly. She grabs her phone and charger and looks for a place to plug it in to get some help. She's able to get a peek at Peter Pan changing. We see his scarred and carved out body, and this is obviously a scene grab from Let the Right One In, but obviously I'm not so stupid that I would ruin my tiny ass YouTube career by showing that clip here, but I will show a clip from Black Mirror that gets the same message across.
Oh. There's no genitals in Space Fleet. This is a wholesome universe.
Wendy goes to the kitchen and plugs in her phone and goes on the search for her bro. Wendy gets into the room where Michael is being held and gets the lock off since it was his bike lock being used to keep him in there, and she gets the combo that was his birthday. Pretty fictional that an older sister would know their younger brother's birthday, but this is a movie, so I guess I'll forgive it. Peter and Tinkerbell have a chat and a smoke in the other room. He says that it's his duty to take kids to Neverland and save them from this world. He entices Tink with a little needle of pixie dust, but Wendy's cell phone in the same room rings because it now has battery power. Peter snaps at Tink because he knows she's hiding something from him. Fuck knows how he would know that, but let's just keep going. Peter has a talk with Michael and says that the kids who don't go to Neverland, he wraps his hands around their little necks and chokes them to death. So did the bus full of kids not go to Neverland? Who knows? Wendy surprise attacks Peter, and her and Michael are able to trap Peter in the room that they were just in, only to have Tink press a knife up to Wendy's throat. But Wendy makes an insanely lucky guess and calls Tink Timmy, the boy that was taken so many years ago. She says that her dad misses her, and that little reveal turns Tink and tells them to hide. After Peter busts out the room, Tink confronts him about lying to her about her parents. Tink even goes as far as to say that Neverland isn't real. Peter offers a needle of that pixie dust, but Tink doesn't take it. Peter responds coldly that he never believed in fairies and says that she's just another lost boy, and then breaks both of Tink's arms and then chops them off. This over-the-top violence while Tink is conscious for all of it is definitely pulled from Terrifier. In the Terrifier movies, people don't go into shock and it's impossible to die from blood loss. Wendy is down in the basement and finds Joey and sees a picture on the floor. She picks it up and gets a flashback of the boy that was taken at the beginning of the movie.
What? Oh, come on!
Was that a psychic vision? Where the fuck did that come from? And why? Anyways, Wendy gets spooked by the chained up person who has a hook for a hand. I wonder who this could possibly be.
Fucking idiot.
The noise alerts Peter, so he comes a-runnin'. Wendy and Peter get into a fight, and once he gets the upper hand, he decides to finish the job on Tinkerbell, cause, you know, why would having both arms chopped off not kill you with blood loss? Peter has to stomp on her head just to be sure. Wendy is able to get the prepped needle from before and gets Peter in the neck with it. Okay, that was decent setup and payoff. And Peter stumbles for a bit, but eventually does recover. Fuck knows how after taking a full needle of what I am assuming was heroin to the neck. Peter finds Michael and almost chokes him out, but here comes the older sibling with a baseball bat. Pan is able to get the upper hand and fucks up Wendy pretty well. Huh. He's doing much better on this 20-year-old hairstylist than the single mom from the intro. Wendy eventually gets the upper hand and Peter tries to trick her with some sort of multiple personality disorder, but Michael comes in not giving a fuck about that and crushes his skull in. And to my shock, Peter is still alive. But don't worry, good old Hook comes in and sinks his prosthetic into Pan's shoulder and drags him into the basement. We jump to next year and the family is celebrating Michael's birthday and they get a phone call and Wendy hears some circus music on the other line and the movie ends.
What? Oh, come on!
Hold up a fucking second. Did they not call the cops after surviving Pan's house of homeless monsters? Like, why? Also, I'm pretty sure this means that Hook didn't finish the job on Pan. How? His skull was crushed in. I don't know how you could have had an easier layup to an assisted kill than that. Oh, and before I forget, in the fight, Peter bites off a few of Wendy's fingers. This probably isn't an homage, but I'm still showing a clip from probably the funniest movies ever. Also, I don't think we saw Wendy with missing fingers a year later, but the movie fucking wishes that was the only problem that it had. There is plenty wrong with this movie, and pardon if I seem to be repeating myself since I did just break down the entire fucking movie with commentary, so I'll be quick about it. This movie is only 5% better than Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. And if you gave that movie like a 4 out of 10, then Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare would be a 4.5 at most. This movie steals scenes from no less than 6 movies. And most of them came out within the last 10 years. I can understand paying homage to a much older movie for like one scene, but to do it so many times feels like they couldn't come up with their own good shit, so they had to take it from other movies. There are references to It, Batman the Dark Knight's Joker, Lucky Number 11, The Black Phone, Let the Right One In, I See You, Terrifier, and if you just want to add an extra dig at the movie, The Interview is also in there. I have heard that there are little Easter eggs in the movie that ties this to the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movies, and I really don't give a fuck. I'm not a spiteful guy. I want new horror movies to be good and do well because of it, and I understand that these movies have an audience, otherwise they wouldn't be able to afford to keep making sequels, but and I'm sure a lot of other people would agree, that they made a huge mistake by making these movies so serious. I mean, clearly the guy in charge of these had a clear vision for this franchise and probably told zounds, oh yeah, I know smart words, told probably zounds of people to suck a fat one when they suggested, hey, maybe most people would find the idea of a killer Pooh Bear and Piglet kinda silly. So maybe we should go the self-aware silly route.
Fuck you! Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
After saying the Winnie the Pooh characters regenerate to a level that makes them practically immortal, it's hard to imagine Peter Pan being anywhere near their level. He's just a junkie with a knife. Yeah, there's the scene of him floating, but that could have been in his head since no one else saw it happen. Also, a huge easy gripe to have is that the naming of everything and everyone in this movie makes no fucking sense. In the Winnie the Pooh movies, everyone just has names just because. You don't really need an origin for any of it, and the monsters existing is because of a mad scientist doing experiments. I'm still bitter about them retconning them from being hybrids from humans banging animals, but that's beside the point. In this movie, there is literally no reason or mention of the Peter Pan books. Everything is named what it's named just because. Peter Pan's name could have been just his given birth name. Okay, I'll give him that. But Tinkerbell has no reason for their name. Peter later on calls her another lost boy. The Lost Boys go to Neverland, so I don't know how that would be an insult or whatever. Hook's existence seems random as hell. There's no reason why Peter took him as a kid and grafted a hook on their hand. Why didn't he go to Neverland? Also, if Neverland is an actual place, Why is his van called that? I guess that one's not a big deal. But why in the world was Michael taken and saved for the end? Peter takes out an entire bus full of kids the first chance he gets. Why didn't he take any of them? What's the difference? Do those kids go to Neverland? Was Michael and his friend really gonna go to Neverland? What happens there? I read an interview that in the sequel, cause apparently he survived, again, lots of BS with that outcome, but in the sequel it'll be discussed that Neverland is a real place. Would have been something of substance if we got some of that in this one. Oh, and you remember when I said I'll tell y'all later why the stuff Peter kept shooting up with was called pixie dust? It's because this is a Peter Pan spoof movie.
Disappointed!
Just another example of shit getting named things just because it's a Peter Pan spoof. Again, there's nothing special about Peter Pan other than being a psycho junkie with no junk. I think that's all I got to bitch about. Definitely not worth your money, but I'm sure that won't stop people from saying it because Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey got a sequel, so there's nothing to suggest that the Killer Bambi movie that's coming out will be deterred. Thanks for watching, and stay spooky.